Hi everyone, it's B.Chavez from EvilGenius Sports Performance, and I'd like to welcome you to another EvilGSP video blog supplemental. And in this little quick edition, I would like to cover something that, like almost all others, is motivated by someone I had to deal with. I'm dealing with a client and was answering some questions, and just the concept of how quickly or how often should a program be changed? How often should you make an adjustment, make a modulation? And of course, the person in question was paying me, and so I was very patient and answered all the questions, and tried to lead this person through my personal, the EvilGenius Sports Performance methodology, and it just reminded me that this video needed to be made. And we could use a lot of different language here. We could call it, staying power, or commitment, or a lot of different things. But what I'm going to use is rational expectations. No matter what program you follow, no matter what style of training you have or implement or consider implementing, one of the most important aspects of getting what you want out of it is having rational expectations. That doesn't necessarily mean dumbed down or inadequate expectations. It means rational expectations. A linear periodized program could very easily add 20 pounds to your bench press, but it would be very irrational to have the goal of a 200-pound increase, that sort of thing. So rational expectations at the implementation of a program begins to elucidate, begins to clue into when, if at all, changes are necessary. Because if you don't have rational expectations, you really don't know what to expect when, and therefore you really have no data, you have no figure, no framework for when to make a change or when to expect a result or look for a result or even to take a measurement for a result. So rational expectations at the implementation of a program is key to the long-term management of said program or programming or whatever you want to call it. So again, I'm not going to lecture on training styles or what specifically is a rational expectation, because that very much matters depending on the program in question, the athlete in question, their advancement, and a lot of integrated factors. But again, it's key that when you set out with this, I'm going to do this program, I'm going to follow 5-3-1. Well, it's important to, at the implementation of that, to know why you're doing it. What is my goal here? And is my goal reasonable? And then with a reasonable goal and a reasonable program, one can then say, okay, well, in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 120 days, I'll take that measurement and, is my bench press this much? Is my body fat that much? Is my bicep this big? So on and so forth. So having a rational expectation builds in time frames for these measurements. So rational expectations are key, and it's paramount that either you, the athlete, or ideally you and your coach confer to create these rational expectations. Very often I think there's a disconnect between what the athlete expects, what the coach expects, and maybe what the judges expect. So it's very important, again, that integration is something that, EvilGenius Sports Performance has lectured on, something I've brought up over and over and over, is that integration of everything and everybody being on the same page for a common goal. So just a quick touch on the concept of, how often or how regularly or irregularly should a program be changed. This doesn't even begin to touch on how radical or minor those changes could or should be. I tend to lean toward the minor side. I think if you set out with a good plan that's well chosen for the athlete and the application, then very small changes should be made. It should only require very small changes to see these adjustments and not radical revamps, which is unfortunately probably a whole separate video where I see people, they just go through the gamut. It's 5-3-1 and then it's cube and then it's high volume and then it's Shako and it's, oh my God. I won't even touch on that here other than to acknowledge that it exists and it's way too much. But again, just to touch on the concept of regular programming changes really should be predicated on rational expectations at the implementation of the original program. So just a little food for thought, little supplemental ideas there. So until next time, B.Chavez, Evil Genius Sports Performance, stay strong.